A reading from the book of 1 Samuel. Today is September 15th. Our reading from 1 Samuel is chapter 26. The Ziphites came to Saul at Gibeah and said, "David is hiding in the hills of Hachilah, facing Jeshimon." Saul went down at once in the wilderness of Ziph, together with 3,000 picked men of Israel, to search for David in the wilderness of Ziph. And Saul encamped on the hills of Hachilah with faces Jeshimon by the road. When David, who was then living in the wilderness, learned that Saul had come after him into the wilderness, David sent out scouts and made sure that Saul had come. David went at once to the place where Saul had encamped, and David saw the spot where Saul and his army commander Abner son of Ner lay asleep. Saul lay asleep in the barricade, and the troops were posted around him. David spoke up, and Ahimelech the Hittite and Abishai son of Zeruiah, Joab's brother, "Who will go down with me into the camp to Saul?" And Abishai answered, "I will go down with you." So David and Abishai approached the troops by night and found Saul fast asleep inside the barricade, his spear stuck in the ground at his head, and Abner and the troops sleeping around him. And Abishai said to David, "God has delivered your enemy into your hands today. Let me pin him to the ground with a single thrust of the spear. I will not have to strike him twice." But David said to Abishai, "Don't do him violence. No one can lay hands on the Lord's anointed with impunity." And David went on, "As the Lord lives, the Lord himself will strike him down, or his time will come and he will die, or he will go down to battle and perish. But the Lord forbid that I should lay a hand on the Lord's anointed. Just take the spear and water jar at his head, and let's be off." So David took away the spear and the water jar at Saul's head, and they left. No one saw or knew or woke up. All remained asleep. A deep sleep from the Lord had fallen upon them. David crossed over the other side and stood afar on top of a hill. There was considerable distance between them, and David shouted to the troops and to Abner, son of Ner, "Abner, aren't you going to answer?" And Abner shouted back, "Who are you shouting at, the king?" And David answered Abner, "You are a man, aren't you? And there is no one like you in Israel. So why didn't you keep watch over your lord king? For one of our troops came to do violence to your lord the king. You have not given a good account of yourself. As the Lord lives, all of you deserve to die, because you did not watch over your lord, the Lord's anointed. Look around. Where are the king's spear and the water jar that were at his head?" Saul recognized David's voice and asked, "Is that your voice, my son David?" And David replied, "It is, my lord king." And he went on, "But why does my lord continue to pursue his servant? What have I done, and what wrong am I guilty of? Now let my lord the king hear his servant out. If the Lord has incited you against me, let him be appeased by an offering. But if it is men, may they be accursed of the Lord, for they have driven me out today, so that I cannot have a share in the Lord's possessions, but am told, 'Go and worship other gods.' Oh, let my blood not fall to the ground away from the presence of the Lord, for the king of Israel has come out to seek a single flea, as if he were hunting a partridge in the hills." And Saul answered, "I am in the wrong. Come back, my son David, for I will never harm you again, seeing how you have held my life precious this day. Yes, I have been a fool, and I have erred so very much." David replied, "Here is your majesty's spear. Let one of the young men come over and get it, and the Lord will requite every man for his right conduct and loyalty. For this day the Lord delivered you into my hands, and I would not raise a hand against the Lord's anointed. And just as I valued your life highly this day, so may the Lord value my life, and may he rescue me from all trouble." Saul answered David, "May you be blessed, my son David. You shall achieve and you shall prevail." David then went his way, and Saul returned home.